Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I think everybody in America knows that we import an exorbitant amount of the oil that we use in this country. We're dependent on oil from the Middle East. We're dependent on oil from South America, from Venezuela and elsewhere. And as a result, we're at the mercy of these countries if they decide to cut back on the amount of oil that they're selling to this country, or if OPEC decides to raise the price per barrel of oil. As a result of our dependency on foreign oil, we now see gasoline at the pump between $4 and $5 a gallon. And everybody in this country, in fact, almost everybody, about 70-some% of the people in recent polls, have said they want America to move toward energy independence. They want us to drill here in the United States. They want us to drill offshore on the continental shelf. They want us to drill in Anwar up in Alaska. They want us to use coal shale, convert it into oil for energy. And they want us to drill for natural gas. But unfortunately, we're not going to do it because we can't get the votes in the House or the Senate to get this job done. Now, today we had a meeting and we found out that in addition to our dependency on foreign oil from sources like Saudi Arabia or Venezuela or elsewhere in the world, we find out from Nigeria we import almost 37% of our sweet crude oil, which is a preferable kind of oil that you want for many of the refineries on the East Coast, because they can convert that in an easier way into gasoline to be sold at the pump. Now, if they have to rely on heavier crude oil, as I understand it, they won't be able to convert that because they're not geared up for that. They're used to using, and the refineries are geared to using the sweet crude oil. So as a result, we see 37% of the sweet crude oil coming from Nigeria and almost 1 million barrels of oil a day coming from that country. And they have problems over there right now, we found out today, Mr. Speaker. They have rebel groups that are stealing as much as 500,000 barrels of oil a day and selling it on the world market to put into their own pockets. And if they decide to go further into the pockets of Nigeria, they could dig into the 1 million barrels of oil that we receive from Nigeria a day. And that's about 9% of the oil that we get from around the world. The reason I'm bringing all this up is we're dependent on Saudi Arabia. We're dependent on Venezuela. We're dependent on Canada. We're dependent on Mexico. And now I find that we're dependent on Nigeria for about 9% of the oil that we have, which is about 37% of the sweet crude oil that we get, which is the preferable kind of oil that we need for refining pretty much on the east coast of this country. We are dependent on the rest of the world, and the price of gasoline at the pump is between $4 and $4.50 a gallon. And if there's a disruption because of OPEC or what goes on in Nigeria, we could see the cost of gasoline per gallon go to $5, $6, or $7 a gallon. And the American people in our economy cannot stand that kind of a price for gasoline. People are spending $70 or $80 or $90 for one tank of gasoline, and seniors and people that live in rural areas and business people trying to get to and from work cannot afford that. We can't afford the cost of getting food to the marketplace and for us to buy it without raising the price of those products. Everything is going up because of the price of oil. And we find that we can be energy independent, rapidly toward energy independence, if we drill off the continental shelf in Alaska and drill for natural gas and convert coal shale into oil. We can be energy independent, and we don't have to depend on the rest of the world. And the American people, Mr. Speaker, need to contact their congressmen and tell them, and their senators, and tell them, we need to move toward energy independence. We need to drill here in America. We can get the job done. We're a can-do country, and we need to get with it right away. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.